Nordstrom is here to help you dress in a way that feels totally you with the best spring styles. From boho dresses and matching sets to must-have bags and sneakers. Discover thousands of items from lots of your favorite brands like Mango, Reformation, Veronica Beard, and Farm Rio. It's easy too, with free shipping and returns, in-store order pickup, and more. Shop today, in stores and at Nordstrom.com.
Coming up this week on the Course of Life podcast, we lost a tough track on the PGA Tour. We get into it, plus a rain-soaked finish and an obvious W and a funny story from the Live Tour as well. And we get into an Oscars recap, content updates, March Madness, and when we always end with food, it's a barbecue review and Coke Orange Cream, all coming your way on the Course of Life podcast next.
Hello, interwebs, and welcome to Course of Life. I'm Michael, he's Alex, and Alex, they were at the the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches at PGA National, and it was a new guy taking the W, Joe Highsmith.
The lefty.
The lefty, and I think, a lot of cool things around Joe Highsmith. His first PGA Tour victory.
Yep.
He's also the first player to make the cut on the number. He's actually, let me rephrase that. He's the third player to make the cut on the number and go on to win the event in PGA history. Yeah. So my question for you before we talk about Highsmith and his great putting over the course of the last few days was, who was the last person to do it before Highsmith?
How long ago did it happen? How's that for a hint? You got any?
I'll tell you the year. I won't tell you the tournament.
Okay.
2016.
Dang it, because I had someone in mind. So that busted that. I was wondering if when Joaquin Niemann shot like 62, 61 at Riviera or something like that, he would have been one of them, but that was not 2016. That would have been my main guess. Who was it?
Brant Snedeker.
Oh, wow, that was a guy who got hot. Was that North Carolina or John Deere or something like that, or Wyndham or what?
The Farmers.
Oh, interesting. Good trivia there. I love that. So yeah, that's getting hot. When you just barely make the cut, you're just barely good enough to play the weekend, and you play well enough to win the entire tournament. You're passing a lot of people in the process, and Highsmith was that guy. The lefty with the bucket hat getting it done for the debut win. And I saw too, Mom has been by his side forever for all these tournaments for Joe Highsmith, and Mom was debating what she was going to do on Sunday. She wasn't sure if she was going to stick around. He was bordering on contention. He got hot on the front nine. Mom canceled the flight. Good move, Mom. She stayed, and she got to be there for the win.
Good move. Yeah. And he went low. That big birdie on 17, long birdie putt on the par 3 to really cement the victory with a 2-shot lead.
Yep.
In this event, which you would think would be a tune-up ahead of the Arnold Palmer, but no real names in the field here.
No, it was annoying how crappy the leaderboard was, and I tweeted that. It's no offense to these guys. It's just like there was very, very little star power at the top of page one all weekend, and the course was playing super easy. You and I used to know this as like a grind of a course where it was breezy. It would be single digits under par to win, and it was nothing but that. It was nothing near that. Jake Knapp opened the week literally with a 59 on Thursday morning. So yeah, PGA National definitely lost some of its teeth compared to what we've seen in previous years.
Yep. Let's switch over to the DP World Tour. They were down in South Africa for the Investec South African Open Championship.
Okay.
Which had just a little bit of rain on Saturday night into Sunday. They had to cut the entire last round out. Dunzo, gone.
Yes.
Reduced it down to 54 holes. But there was a tie at the top, so they had to have a playoff on the 18th toward the end of the day on Sunday once it dried out enough for them. And it was the South African native,
Dylan
Naidoo, who took the win. And he's the 6th straight South African to win their National Open.
Very cool. The local boy getting it done there on home turf. And that's always a very intimidating scenario. I think of like John Rahm getting it done at Spanish Opens, or Shane Lowry winning the Irish Open as an amateur way back in the day. Those are always like big watershed moments for guys like Naidoo. So hopefully he carries it into more success. And what a weird, awkward, like this is such a strange game moment there in South Africa. The course is freaking flooded, but leave it to golf to be like, yeah, it's fine. We'll just dry off one hole and we'll just do a playoff and just skip the whole last round and just get right to the winner right now. That's typical stuff. Yeah.
It was just, these weather events, they're weird stuff. Weird, wild stuff.
South Africa. I didn't really, I guess when it rains, it pours there. I just always think of such a dry, like desolate desert like landscape, but far from that this past week.
Oh, South Africa is a big country, man.
Yeah.
They got more than the deserts. Isn't the desert further up in it? I'm going to sound totally horrible.
Yep. It's
right
that's a bad marginalized view by us Americans, I'm sure. Indeed.
I'm going to stop and just say that, so Nadu becomes a first time winner on the DP World Tour. He gets to play in the Open at Royal Portrush at the end of the year. So big win for
playing privileges. That's
27-year-old South African. He was playing in the playoff against Laurie Cantor, who is doing very well in the DP World Tour this year. He's like number 3, I think, in the race to Dubai or something like that.
Yeah, he is.
He won last week, the second, thanks to a playoff this week. And he may be able to play in the Players' Championship. And all of you listening are going like, who the hell is this guy? Why do we care? Alex, you remember he played for Live Golf just like 2 years ago.
Yep, he was a Live golfer. He was one of the original sign-ons and definitely a name that kind of stood out because he was DP World Tour champion at the time of him signing. And it's an interesting roundabout path. He actually kind of escorted / booted out of Live Golf when the arrival of Anthony Kim happened. Like they just shake up the rosters constantly in the Live Tour. So lo and behold, Laurie Cantor is then removed from Live Golf. So he says, all right, well, I'm just going to go freaking do this on my own, just like I was doing before. And he bootstrapped it and he backpacked it and he got going on the DP World Tour, and he has earned his way through status all the way back to what is going to be the biggest events in the world, starting with his eligibility at the Players' Championship next week, which I know you appreciate. He basically said, hey, Liv, guess what? I don't really need you. I can go back and go play on the tour I was at before and do just fine without you guys.
It's amazing how well you can do in the world when you play in events that get official World Golf ranking points, and you play well and you get into the top 50 and then you get invited to the Players.
It's that magic word motivation, right? And it comes in all shapes and sizes. And sure, people, are motivated by getting an initial payday by joining the Live Tour. I completely understand that. But there's also the motivation of what you can get by, performing at the highest stage, on the best stage and the biggest stages. And that's what Laurie Cantor's proving. So I appreciate what he's been able to do after the adversity of literally getting removed from Live and redoing it and restarting it all on his own on the DP World Tour.
I think that's the question around motivation to me, is that, Live Golf gives you a big payday up front. You're gonna see that money. You're gonna think, you're gonna be excited. You're gonna try to go out there and play well. But if you don't play well, there's no motivation to keep trying because you're still gonna get paid.
Yes, correct. So that therein lies the crux with what they're facing now. And now we're gonna get to the point where we're gonna start talking about contracts ending with Live golfers. There are brief murmurs that have not been confirmed that when Bryson's contract ends, he will go back to the PGA Tour. That has not been confirmed yet by all my accounts, but we're going to start seeing those type of things happen. So the weight on the scale might actually tip back towards the PGA Tour, and all these guys who originally Live sign-ons might just have their contract run out and decide after that contract, I'll just go back to the PGA Tour now.
Well, look, I mean, if your goal, these guys said they wanted the money, but they also wanted to play in the majors. If they can't play in the majors because they're losing ranking status, then why would you stay there? You're not getting that part of the deal that you were maybe promised incorrectly by Greg Norman that you were going to get it.
I know.
So,
meanwhile, John Rahm, Dustin Johnson, sitting at home, not playing the Players. Cam Smith lives right down the street from Sawgrass, and he's not playing the Players.
Not playing the
and
Players.
Laurie Cantor is.
Goes to show that maybe you don't want to be the best in the world. Let's talk about the LPGA. They are, of course, still out there in Asia. They're in Singapore. They were there for the LPGA's HSBC Women's World Championship. This is kind of the Asian major out there.
Definitely, yeah. Big crowds.
Lydia Ko, she's got multiple Olympic medals, including a gold. She's got a Women's British Open championship. She's just the best golfer in the world. really.
Yeah, I mean, right now she is. That's the answer, and I fully understand. Nelly Korda's got the ranking, but right now at this very moment, in terms of straight form, Lydia Ko has the best form in the world at this moment, backing it up again with another impressive performance. Past guest of the show had a good performance as well. Pajari Ananarakarn, who actually lives in the Dallas-Frisco area. She was on the first page of the leaderboard all weekend, so good to see her play well there as well, too. And I just love following the LPGA socials, Michael, when they're over here doing the Asia swing, because there's all sorts of cool cuisine and food to be had. These players are experimenting. They all just did the flight over to Blue Bay. They're going to be in China this week, and they're all staying on the water. Gemma Dryber is eating like mango, like with a view of the water in China. It's a magical time for the ladies who are doing the Asia swing, exploring the world on the PGA Tour.
It is indeed. So Lydia Ko, not just her 27th victory of her career.
We're losing count. Yeah.
pretty good there. Asian Swing wraps up this next week. They do the Blue Bay LPGA in the People's Republic of China. And
then back over here.
Then they swing back to the States for some event that Nelly Korda won last year. So, it's that time of year when you can just say what Nelly Korda won last year.
Yeah, she won everything starting with the spring swing as soon as they head back over. So we'll start to get into some cool events. LPGA match play in Vegas. I'll be heading to the Chevron at the end of April for the first major. So we're getting towards that moment, Michael. The calendar moves fast with golf, especially when you start getting to major championships.
The PGA Tour heads to Puerto Rico, Rio Grande, for the Puerto Rico Open this week. A really star-studded field will not be there. They will instead be in Orlando for the Arnold Palmer.
Yes, that's right. Shout out the king, Arnold Palmer Invitational. Love the umbrella. We got to have the bag at the end of the range. 70% iced tea, 30% lemonade. And then I like to take a fresh lemon wedge and then squeeze it on top. That is my ideal Arnold Palmer. So I'll be having a few of those this week in honor of the king.
There you go. And while on the LPGA side, we're getting the time of year where you can just say Nelly Korda is the defending champion. On the PGA Tour side, you can say that we're getting into the time of year when Scottie Scheffler is the defending champion for pretty much every event. So we'll see how he can do, how that hand is really healed. We saw him playing okay just a few weeks ago. We'll see if he can defend at the Arnold Palmer. That's going on in the world of golf, Alex. I know that, I don't know how much you're getting out there to play at all. I've been meaning to go play, but I'm too tired.
Dude, I'm so overdue. I was just thinking about that. I haven't had a full official 18-hole round in close to like 2 or 3 months now. I've been goofing around at Balcones, and we're filming all sorts of fun little clips and stuff that'll be coming out in the weeks to come. So be sure to follow that. But I am finally going to get a couple rounds out at Horseshoe Bay. You remember I went there last summer to check out the courses there, and they are opening a brand new Callaway approved instruction facility. It's going to be a state-of-the-art facility. So we're going to get a tour of the facility and play the courses there. So yeah, I gotta get my game in playing shape. I'm gonna be swinging clubs like in front of people, like possibly like on film too as well. So I really need to hit the range a couple more times, but I'm excited for that in the next week or two. So follow along for that. And then the one that you'll really appreciate is I finally put up a gift that I got for Christmas, long overdue. I got one of those bird feeders with the camera attached to it. Oh boy! Yep, we're gonna have a lot of nature content incoming in the backyard.
Oh boy, we're getting into that space, aren't we now?
Yep. The feed is arriving tonight, and I got to get myself an SD card so I can actually save these wonderful memories. I mean, let's be real honest here. 90% of the time, it's a Cardinal or a Blue Jay. I hope I see something a little bit more creative, and maybe it'll turn into some backyard content. But Course of Life, Alex, and COL podcast on Instagram for all my life musings in and outside the game of golf as well.
Let's switch over to Tuned In to share what we're tuning into outside of the world of sports.
Yeah, what do you got?
Alex, this Saturday, I went downtown and I went to the 4th annual Slithering.
I saw one piece of content from either you or your spouse, and I was intrigued, curious, and a little creeped out too. But explain what was going on at the Slithering.
So, in essence, it is a lantern snake parade in honor of St. Patrick driving the snakes out of Ireland to be reborn as lanterns here in the streets of Savannah. Big connection, of course, between Ireland and Savannah, as we know. So it's just pretty small, kind of locals only. This is the fourth year that they did it. People make lanterns and things, and they walk a number of city blocks all the way around just in the evening after the sun is set. And there's some bands playing music. There was a bagpiper out there. And then they go into Starland Yard, which is a food truck park and bar here in Savannah, and they have a good time.
Yeah,
and
interesting.
It was pretty cool. So cool that my wife has decided that we are going to make something and walk in this parade next year.
I was wondering if you didn't already do that for your debut. So you're gonna put the full effort into year 2, I say.
Yes, I guess we are. So.
Yeah, I saw snakes and lanterns, and I wanted that connection, and you just provided that with 30 seconds of context. So that is the slithering. If you're ever in Savannah and you want to hit a locals only event to lead up, this is basically the St. Patrick's Day buildup. I'm starting to feel it already here.
Look, come to Savannah, go to the Slithering, then go to New Orleans and go to Mardi Gras next week, then come back to Savannah for St. Patrick's Day.
That's the party trio right there. If you're looking to just get after it the next 2 weeks in the US of A, that's your agenda right there.
Yeah, just, especially everyone, people that don't realize how big St. Patrick's Day is in Savannah, all the schools take vacation over St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah,
that's when
weird.
Spring break is here.
And
Everybody.
again, people who are maybe living like in, friggin' Nevada, Montana, North Dakota might be like Savannah, Georgia, St. Patrick's Day. What's the connection? I don't get it.
I mean, it's because everyone, all the Irish came here.
Yeah.
We found that out when we were in Ireland that a year and a half ago.
The Wexford connection. That's
Ireland. Right. Yeah, a huge connection here. So there you go.
Very
Savannah.
Cool. The Slytherin. Love that. Well, I was watching a couple things. First off, we saw a friend of ours who we met at the PGA Show and had on the podcast last year, all up in season 3 of Netflix's Full Swing. Michael, I watched the entire season, and our buddy Bradford Wilson lending some awesome commentary throughout pretty much every episode. It was basically him and Dan Rappaport talking about everything awesome throughout the season as they showcase the best players in the world. And the best episode, far and away, which I know you'll appreciate, highlighted 2 veterans in the game, Keegan Bradley, and obviously his quest with the Ryder Cup and the President's Cup this past fall and being named the captain, and the emotional story of PGA Tour veteran Camilo Villegas, who did lose his 2-year-old daughter. It was a very, very well-told story in the final episode. That was a great culmination of season 3. So highly suggest season 3 of Full Swing. And if you only got time for one episode, Michael, definitely episode 7 for Keegan and Camilo Villegas.
All right.
Nice. And it was the Oscars Sunday night.
It was.
Honora, the big winner. Did you see Honora?
No.
Yeah, I know you saw The Brutalist, right?
No, I saw 3 Oscar-nominated movies this year. I was
going to ask how many you saw, yeah.
Dune 2.
Okay.
I saw Inside Out 2.
Same, yep.
And I saw the Wallace and Gromit, which I slept through the last act of, not because it was boring, but because I was so exhausted. I meant to hit pause on it and return to it, and I didn't have the energy to hit pause on it. I also watched the last 20 minutes of Gladiator 2 and thought it was atrociously bad.
Heard a lot of negative on Gladiator 2.
But it was nominated for an Oscar for costume design or set design or something like that.
There was, yeah. There were some cool wins and speeches throughout the night. Big time flex for the Honora director, taking home 4 Oscars in the same night. God damn, that's a haul for one night right there.
He's pretty good at what he does. That guy, and it's one of those movies where people are probably going to go I don't know who this guy is, which I think is fair. But if you actually pay attention to him, Sean Baker, you'll know him because he's also done Florida Project and Tangerine, 2 other really big movies in the mid 2010s there.
Okay.
I think Florida Project won an Oscar, I think, it was nominated, I think, for Willem Dafoe for Best Actor. I don't remember if it won, but he's done some really cool kind of different stuff there.
Yeah, so. Sean Baker. I'm pocketing that name for sure. He'll be around for a while. And that record, Mike, quick 5-second trivia for you. 4 Oscars in one night. Who did he tie there?
I don't think he tied anyone. I think he set the record. No one's ever won 4 Oscars before.
I don't know if he did it in the same night, but they were showing him side by side with Walt Disney, who I think won 4 Oscars, maybe for the same film. I don't know if he got them all in the same night, but in any capacity, that's good company to be in for sure.
It may not be for the same film. Maybe that Sean Baker's done it for the same film. Disney probably had like 6 films going on that year or something.
Absolutely. The biggest winner of the night for sure at the Academy Awards. Great to see the Wicked ensemble with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. Really crushed that as always. Some cool musical renditions as well. So Oscars in the books, Anora, the big winner.
Didn't you think it was weird, though, that they did a 007 tribute when there was no Bond movie for the last 3 years and Barbara Broccoli just sold all the creative rights to Amazon?
And we're still like sitting on who the friggin' next Bond's going to be. There's a lot of uncertainty there. Yeah, it was weird timing for that. My one other note, by the way, Chaperone and Elton John, Pink Pony Club live at one of the after parties. That was a good performance. Yeah. Good deal there.
That's gold, Jerry. Yeah. That's gold. All right, let's get to the turn. And this week's guest, we got another one of America's best golf coaches on the show. Another one that you got to meet at the PGA Show in Orlando. And this one is one that you got to meet through a number of guests we've had on this podcast in the past.
Correct. Remember we had Hannah Gregg and her boyfriend Frederick Lindblom
way back in the day. One of the OG guests.
He worked with both of them, but he's also working with a lot of current pros as well as John in the Atlanta, Georgia area and everywhere. The guy's moving around, teaching to some of the best in the game and shares a very unique perspective from the PGA Show floor.
Next up on the Course Life podcast, we're live from the PGA Show with a very interesting PGA professional that has a fascinating background. It's Jon Tattersall joining us on the Course Life.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you on, John. Let's talk a little bit about your history with the PGA Show. You've attended a bunch of these, but you've obviously seen it grow throughout the years. What are your impressions of what we see here in 2025?
Definitely busier, which is awesome. That's a good sign. I think size-wise, it's probably comparable to the last few years. I've probably been coming here since the early 90s. And I'm the worst person to ask about what's coming out new.
Yeah, that's okay.
I have specific things I come here for, teaching stuff, technology, and then seeing other coaches and kind of more the networking aspect. I was here when Big Bertha was released and didn't know what it was. So that's my low watermark on knowing what's going on technology-wise. But it's phenomenal for me seeing all the medical, military devices are now used in our world that's coming to help us as golfers. Or help us as coaches, then we can help golfers. Yeah. So that aspect of it's been tremendous to see the growth of.
I feel like throughout your teaching, what I've known in my research before we conversed is that you were definitely in the early wave of technology in golf. I remember, for instance, in the 90s, the first time I saw my swing on video, and that was revolutionary in the moment, just to see your swing on video. Talk about kind of where you remember it originating and how far it's gone now in the last few decades.
Yeah, I spoke Monday at the teaching conference, and I had up just pictures of tour player, like 7 pictures on and that's basically where I started looking at monthly golf magazines that came in, and you had to kind of extrapolate, like, well, this guy's doing this clearly, and then the next week you see something else because your viewpoint changes, your theory changes, and now we have markers on the body, we have force plates tracking the golf ball. So it's, from our perspective, a coach is phenomenal because now you're actually seeing hard data. So there's less arguing about what's going on, which is great. There's more trying to understand, and nobody can get all the answers. So there's more of a the coaches are talking to each other and conferring on what's happening much more now. Where it used to be, I've got my opinion, you've got your opinion, and we all stand there and yell at each other. And way more team type of approach to what's going on.
I feel like it's a lot less segmented, and that there's a lot more cooperation, there's a lot more sharing of ideas 100%. Between different philosophies of the swing.
I think it's generational. I think the whole thing with probably the iPhone changed the world with how much more connected socially. There's less of embarrassment about asking, I don't know the answer. Will you help me?
It was so funny. I just saw Nelly Korda at a major championship earlier this year, and she was hitting 5-foot putts, and every 10 seconds she was back on her phone watching the stroke, and she'd go back down. Back. I mean, this is Nelly Korda on a practice screen, using her phone that actively to learn.
Yeah, I mean, you're in media, but if you listen to the TV announcers, like, oh my gosh, Arnold Palmer owned his swing, blah blah blah. It's all crap. They all were as fragile as everybody else. And if you saw that person, Nelly Corder, doing that a few years ago, well, she's not going to win this week. Now they're all doing it. Now they're all trying to find the answers, find a feel. Then we need feedback to understand where we are. And the feedback basically has just evolved and gotten better. And you need other people to help you understand it. You
Very
really
cool.
do.
Give everyone a little context for your golf background, where you grew up and what inspired you to move to the U.S. and Atlanta, where you are now.
I grew up in Northern England, which is a fantastic part of the world. The people are great. The weather absolutely sucks. And I'm an only child, so growing up, played a lot of sports. Golf was a great sport because I could literally go play golf and didn't have to put a team together. Yeah. And I got fortunate enough to come to the States to visit people in '87. Met a number of people. I was trying to play then, so it was more prep for the season. And then went back and had an opportunity to come back in 88. Scary. And so then I've been here for 37 years now at this point.
Very cool.
So I was a golf club pro and liked it, but didn't like, I love the teaching aspect and more the connection with people versus golf pros. Clubs is very transactional. You're one person after the other. Teachers, you're much more involved with that person, trying to help them and get them better. And so a lot of it, like a lot of coaches, is pure frustration. I wasn't good enough, couldn't get the answers, wanted to find the answers. And so part of my journey is literally trying to help myself and then helping others, hopefully.
Great perspective. It's Jon Tattersall here live on the PGA Show floor, and now you're in Atlanta, and you've got a couple different concepts in not only Tattersall Golf, but also Fusion ATL as well, too. Talk about what golfers can expect when they're in Atlanta and they come into your facility.
Yeah, we can kind of do for instance, like a Mayo Clinic type wellness check. So I have great PTs I have association with. I've got 9 trainers in there, all phenomenal.
Wow.
So if somebody says, hey, I want to get better, and we have one of the guys I coach with has the gas force plates, so he has some 3D, I have 3D. So if you say, I want to get better, we can really kind of help you understand, first of all, what you need to do to get better. Now, it's a journey after that, but if you want to say, I really, really want to get better, then that's where we are, basically. So I generally coach, I classify competitive players as somebody who just wants to improve. It don't have to be for a living. Yeah. It could purely be, I'm an executive or whatever.
I shoot in my 80s and I want to break 80 more often.
And then people come in and they're like, hey, if I just shoot in the 70, I'd be happy. I go, no, you won't. The desire you have to shoot in the 70s will make you want to shoot in the 60s. So
that's the game.
That burning desire we all have keeps us fueled. And the beautiful thing is now with understanding the body, if you're doing those things, generally you're going to be healthy. So it's almost like you're doing things that are going to make you have a better life, if you will. Not to sound too grandiose, that's not us, but the movement of golf, the being outside, all those things are definitely great health related things, as long as you don't hit the bar too hard when you get done. Apart from that, it's good.
In terms of kind of who you work with now, I'm sure it's a wide variety of clients, but currently, what's an example of different players that are in your stable and what you're working on with them now, whether it's in ATL or remotely, different places around the golf world?
All over the place. I'm literally all over the place. 10 years ago, so I was...
what's your travel schedule look like these days?
Delta love me most of the time. So I'm generally... The good thing about Atlanta, I can get nearly everywhere in one flight.
This is true, yeah.
So I got a lot of 2 and 3 day trips, which is great. So it's some player stuff on the road. I do some corporate stuff, and then an executives just kind of... Or high-level golfers that want to get better all over the place. So the thread of their improvement mindset is the same. Skill level is different, obviously.
When you're visiting a player, for example, at a tournament, just give everyone an idea of what that looks like behind the scenes. Do you just get in there like on a Monday and you're there for maybe the Tuesday practice round and then you leave, or do you stay for the week depending on what the scenario is? Or what does that look like?
Schedule and tournament level. So generally, if it's a normal, like I've got one kid that just got on the Corn Ferry, so I've coached him a long time.
What's his name?
Chin Chung. It's a great story. Yeah. I'd love you to into him at some point, but he's been a golf pro for a number of years. He moved from Korea as a high schooler to go play golf over here, playing college, and was not a storied player at all. He's won the national assistants, and he just got his Corn Ferry card. He finished 8th at Q School, and that's the 13th time he's been to Q School, and he got through the first time.
Wow.
So he's been featured quite a bit on TV and all the rest of the reason. But a lovely story. He's too nice a kid. But if I go, like I haven't been to the first 2 events, he made his cut in the first one, missed yesterday. But typically if we go to an event, I'm seeing him, and we've worked together so long, I know pretty much the parameters I'm looking at. And then it would be kind of, Monday's kind of a light day usually, maybe play 9 holes, do some work on the range. Tuesday's really if you're on the PGA Tour, the main day to do your practice round, because if you're not in the Pro-Am, you can't play Wednesday.
Right.
So it's brutal. I coached one guy a few years ago as a rookie. So you travel Sunday night, Monday, you do work Monday, Tuesday you're trying to get 18 holes, learn the course, and then Wednesday you can't play, just practicing.
Such a tease.
It is, and then you've got one round basically to learn a new golf course in each city. And then if the weather's changed from Monday or Tuesday to Thursday, you play in a different golf course. So the rookies on tour have got a very, very tough deal.
Interesting perspective.
And we have to do, if you have major issues, which they do a lot of times, it's not like, oh, great shot. There's a lot of stuff you got to do. And so Monday afternoon, Tuesday's your main day to do. So if you say you did something Wednesday, it could be great on the range. We've got no idea Thursday what's going to happen when the gun goes off. So I always like to try and get stuff done where we can at least see stuff on the golf course. Because you could be high-fiving on the range. Go, this is awesome. Thursday morning, they're losing it.
Well said.
So I learned a long time ago from teaching tour players, like they look incredibly put together, professional on the outside. They're losing their shit on the inside. I mean, everything that a regular golfer feels from a nervous perspective, they're more than that. But they're really, really good. So I don't ever talk about consistency. Everybody wants consistency. That's a joke. How do you get better so you're inconsistent at a higher level? So Jin, I've taught him a long time, our mantra is we're trying to fail at a higher level. Failure is okay. What can we learn from it?
The highest floor possible.
100%.
I love that. That's a good perspective.
So I used to learn how to fly, and they don't just train you on straight and level.
Right.
They put you in bad situations, and you have to solve it. And so I think a lot of golf, because it's a recreational sport, we're always trying to avoid awkwardness, bad results. But if you're trying to be serious about playing better, you're going to have awkwardness and bad results. So let's get in there and figure that out. What happens in those situations?
Nice.
I'm not worried about the zone because that rarely happens. So, it's messy. You go do the best you can.
Yeah, indeed. Great perspective and gems there from Jon Tattersall. And it's so funny because I mentioned before we had a mutual friends in Hannah Gregg and Frederick Lindbohm, and I asked them, what should I talk to Jon about? And they mentioned Jin Chung. So you must be some sort of mastermind here, but this guy really does have a fascinating background, just like you mentioned, assistant champion 13 times going through qualifying school, which we've diatribed about just how difficult qualifying school is. To be there 13 times and be still standing is a very impressive testament to him.
It's brutal, and he's, so you got 13 times, that's $5,000 a time, plus your travel.
Right. Yeah, also that.
I mean, just the harsh reality of it. It's but the thing is, for Jin, he's consistent. It's not like he's been phenomenal and he didn't quite do it. He's gotten better. And then he's such a humble kid, but he's looking around now, realizing that he can do this. Back to technology, years ago, looking at tour play, you didn't know how fast they were hitting it, how far it was going correctly, how they were doing it.
All speculation.
Correct. And now we know. So I know Jin's ball speed are at a point, they're in the low to mid 170s driver speed. He weighs 155 and he's 5'10", so he's completely out punting his weight. So I was like, Jin, if you're at 175 and Justin Thomas at 175, it's the same ball speed. Like, it's demystified what's going on. We look at stats so we can demystify. They're not any straighter than you. They're not hitting more greens than you. So it's kind of, those are the things we keep reminding ourselves.
Keeps your head on the rails too.
It does. It does, absolutely. Because they're going to be, you go to a tournament, you think everybody else is better than you.
Yep, you do. Because you walk the range and it's natural. It's just human instinct.
Looks easy from their perspective. So there's never played basketball in my life, but the great Hoosiers movie, where they're, small Indiana town and they go to state championship. And Gene Hackman makes the player measure the basket.
That's right.
10 foot basket. How's big's the basket back in our schoolroom? 10 feet, coach. Nice. Same deal.
Love that. Jon Tattersall, let's get to some quick shots before we wrap here. You're in Atlanta and also every Delta destination. What's your favorite part specifically of flying Delta Airlines?
They're great. I mean, I fly with them so much. I'm Diamond Medallion and
there you go.
Multi-million miler, so they take good care of me. You know you're in trouble when the captain comes out and says, thanks for flying with us all the time. That's not a good sign.
Wow.
So,
there you go.
Yeah, so...
you're that one that's first on the board with the crew, right?
Yeah. So it's great. They're a great airline. They take great care of me, and they've done a phenomenal job since COVID, basically. They didn't shy away from it. So
have you adopted any Atlanta sports teams at all, professional or college?
I'm fortunate enough to coach the owner of the Falcons, so the Falcons obviously.
Through Blink,
yeah. And then
we just saw at TGL the other night as well too.
Yeah,
he's invested. In that.
He's invested in that. He's a mad golf fan.
Yep.
He loves golf. He's done so much to try and invest in those
Very
things,
cool.
and obviously fascinating guy. And then I would say most of my clients are probably more Georgia fans than Georgia Tech.
Yep.
I lived in North Carolina for 10 years, and that was all basketball.
Yes.
I was fortunate enough to meet Dean Smith a few times, and didn't know who he was, and obviously did after that. But that was all basketball, and here is clearly more football. So it's been pretty cool. It's been cool. But I love motorsports and I love golf, so tend to stay in those areas.
Nice, indeed. We love to wrap at the buzzer with our food questions. So let's do our 19th hole question first. Your favorite meal and your favorite drink that you like to get in picture your favorite clubhouse, 19th hole, maybe a birdie the last and a great day. What's your go-to order in the clubhouse?
I've stopped drinking red wine because I couldn't sleep very well.
Okay,
so I drink scotch.
Yep.
And I can regulate myself, and I know I've had too many on that, so it's good. And then I love burgers, but I feel like crap after I've eaten the burger. So generally something clean and light. As much as I travel, I'm trying to eat as clean as possible and stay away from too much snacking, but do the best I can. But sushi's awesome. I like steak.
Yes.
But
clubhouse sushi. Ooh, that sounds like a great experience.
Yeah. So clean as possible is the short answer.
John, thanks so much for hopping on the Course of Life. Appreciate your wisdom, and I look forward to seeing what you do with your coaching in the future.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me on.
Course of Life podcast is brought to you by Zencastr. We've been using Zencastr here since almost the very beginning as how Alex and I record this podcast from hundreds of miles away. And it provides us with great quality audio that works every time. And it's something that makes Course of Life what it is and has kept us being able to make consistent episodes every week. And now it's super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. You log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. You record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. You feel a sense of zen, knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. And have you ever wondered what you actually sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. Head on over to zencastr.com/pricing and use our promo code COURSEOFLIFE to get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all of your podcasting and content needs. Again, that's zencastr.com/pricing and our promo code COURSEOFLIFE. Zencastr, it's time to share your story. We're back. Great chat there with John. Love to hear the stories about the resilience and how hard it really is to be a tour pro mentally and let inside they really are freaking out.
Yeah, and John, he recognizes that you're teaching the swing, you're teaching the body, and you're also working and teaching the brain as well when you work directly with these guys as intimately and closely as he does. So that resilience of tour pros, they lose their job, they go grab it back again, they try and hold on to it, they lose their job, they get back in. That's a hard career to pave out for yourself. But shout out to John and everything he's doing with his teachings. Again, check out John on Instagram as well too, Tattersall Golf. We appreciate having him on the show.
And if you like that interview with John, plus everything else we do here on this podcast, make sure you punch that subscribe button on the podcast app you're using right now. Leave us a rating anywhere from 1 to 5,673,292.6 stars is acceptable.
Nice.
You can follow us on Instagram, COL Podcast.
Yep.
Alex, he posts a ton of stuff. Course of Life, Alex. I'm at MWRINC. I don't post much of anything these days.
I've got a funny skit with Charlie Crenshaw, my buddy at Balcones Country Club as well, too. That's going to be up on the Instagram. Let's just say I was tempted to cheat.
Interesting.
That's the tease. You can find that on Instagram this week.
All right. Let's talk March Madness. It's coming. It's like right here.
Yeah.
It never seems to stop. And I think the biggest the biggest thing that seems to keep happening. Wow, I am blanking on his name entirely. Who's the name of the coach who just won his 5th conference title?
Are
He
you
used to coach in our conference, actually, even Alex.
I don't know. You're trivia spotting me right now.
Syracuse guy. Syracuse? He's at St. John's now.
Tom Moore is crushing it right now. I know that.
No, he's with St. John's right now.
Well, where we moved on to the parkour era, who are you referring to? You're drawing my blank too.
Rick Pitino.
There he is. Oh, the former Celtic coach,
Yes.
Rick Pitino, who had a little scandal of his own at Louisville. We don't forget
Yes, he
that.
did.
But he's
Louisville,
now winning at Iona. You're correct.
That's what it was. No, he's not at Iona. He's at St. John's now. He left Iona.
He's bigger and better things. The guy, he's working his way back up the ranks, and lo and behold, he'll probably be back at Kentucky where he was 30 years ago. He'll do the full circle, won't he?
Why not? We are more concerned about our Quinnipiac University Bobcats because that's who we are. So we're only going to talk about them. So for the 5 people that listen who are also Quinnipiac Bobcats, all you need to know is that the men and women need to win out their conference championship games, and we will be in the big dance.
And this is very relatable for everyone out there who goes to like a small school that doesn't go to a big time school that knows like, hey, if you want to get your team on the bracket, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You have to win now in the conference tournament. There are no at-large bids in this world. We don't play in the world where 5 teams from our conference get in. It doesn't work like that here in the MAAC. We're fighting for 1 bid in our conference. The QU women have climbed the mountain several times over. We've seen them even make a run to the Sweet 16, thanks to our friend Coach Fabry. But it's the QU men, Mike. It's the men's basketball program that has yet to get over the hump. They've never punched a ticket to the NCAA tournament. Is this finally the year as I shake my fist up in the air? We'll see.
I don't know. We'll see. The women are number 18 in the mid-major top 25.
Okay.
The men are not ranked. But the men have a good chance. The men have been playing very well in conference, so I think they have a very good chance to run the table, but they'll probably break our hearts in the last second like they always do. But while the men have never punched their ticket into March Madness, which is still kind of the pinnacle, I guess you could say, we can say that our Quinnipiac University men's ice hockey team have been national champions.
Yeah, thank God. And thank God we got that one too, because we were becoming the Buffalo Bills of college hockey for a little while.
Yeah, we were.
And we managed to avoid that, thankfully, to the greatest overtime win ever. You can look it up on YouTube. So we got that one in the books. Now it's time to get something for the basketball program this March.
It is indeed. Let's talk a little football. Mostly I want to talk about my Giants, Alex. I can't believe I want to talk football when it's not football season.
Yep. We're in the teeth of the offseason. There's absolutely nothing going on before free agency starts popping off the next week or two. Yep. But we found just another ridiculous Giants fact.
Yeah. Well, 2 things here. The first is that there are no quarterbacks on the Giants right now.
And that's it's just funny, mainly because even the worst programs in the NFL still at least have some veteran just signed to the minimum, just cuz, or just some random practice squad guy that's still technically part of it. Nope. You don't own any.
None. And arguably I'm gonna say what someone else said on Twitter or somewhere. Arguably the best quarterback room in years for New York.
Yeah, that's the saddest reality of that entire fact.
And then this thing came out that the Giants are talking about adding Aaron Rodgers.
No. Well, no, but also yes for my content brain. But no for me and you as a friend looking out for you and your football team.
Aaron Rodgers, I don't think, is in the place mentally where he's willing to come in and help nurture a young quarterback.
Not at all.
Because he still thinks he's a top tier quarterback.
Absolutely.
So he doesn't.
He claims he is, but he's very much not. And he's going to rationalize this. Michael, he doesn't have to sell his place. Same stadium, same facilities. It's right there for him.
And he's still getting paid from the Jets, right? After getting cut, he's still getting a big payday out of there. So it's not like the Giants probably really need to pay him anything.
Absolute disaster. That's the absolute negative. But I'll just throw a dreamy positive for you for the next month and a half. Dreamy positive is draft Shedeur Sanders, and Deion Sanders is your next head coach.
Yeah, but we didn't fire our head coach.
I know you didn't. I'm just throwing branches out for you. But that's all.
When
I got
it was
for you.
so obvious, it was his fault.
Yep, you kept him too. That's right. They did that.
Anyway,
that's your Giants update for the week.
Let's hashtag always end with food.
Yep, food content to wrap up this week's podcast. It's time for the 19th hole, and I'll do a quick barbecue review. I'm always exploring towns and Texas barbecue places here in the Lone Star State, and I went to one that's pretty highly ranked, but I got to say, I don't think it quite fit the bill of its ranking. I went to Louis Mueller Barbecue in Taylor, about half an hour outside of Austin, tried the brisket and the sausage. It was just like a 7.7 out of 10. And, when you're going to these top 10 places, Michael, I mean, these are the top of the top here. You're expecting elite. And I didn't get elite. I got good barbecue in a nice old rustic setting. But Louis Mueller Barbecue, I'm going 7.7 out of 10.
A lot of these places that get really big and really popular just kind of sit on their laurels and don't really care anymore.
Yeah. And there's a mass production point with some of these places where it kind of tips the scale and the quality does begin to go down a hair. Mm-hmm. And it's those margins that count when you're talking about the best.
It is.
So that was my barbecue journey last week.
I'm going to do a semi-live taste test for you here, Alex. I say semi because I mistakenly already opened this.
Oh, okay. Yeah, got it. All right, that's fine. So you can reopen, and basically you give me these words sometimes for things you try, and I don't know what this is, but you told me to just read Coke Orange Cream, and I didn't know that those three words were put together and turned into a product. That's interesting.
I mean, if you've been in a grocery store lately and not been immediately just destroyed by how expensive the eggs are.
Oh, and
unable
tough times
to process anything else in the grocery
store. We're out
store.
on eggs right now. Eggs are out right now. We're out on eggs.
Coca-Cola, because this is what they do now, pumped out a new flavor, Orange Cream.
Orange cream. So what I'm trying to say is I'm guessing it's some sort of melodic trio of Coca-Cola, some type of orange soda, and some sort of cream soda consistency?
Well, it is Coca-Cola colored.
Oh, it's dark. Wow. Okay.
So it's a cola. I think it's a cola and an orange creamsicle flavor kind of mashed together. I say that I opened it by accident because I bought it and another like regular Coke Zero to drink. And I opened the Coke and I was riding home in my car and I was drinking the Coke Zero. And then I reached for the bottle to take another sip, and I took the cap off and took a sip, and I just took a sip from this one by accident.
The accidental open. Wow.
And I will say my initial reaction was not good. So I still have it. I put the cap back on. It's probably flat, but we're going to open it up anyway. We had a little hiss there. Not much.
Yeah, give me a sip. My thought would be I would like it to taste like those orange like creamsicle popsicles that I used to get when I was a kid from the ice cream truck. Yeah, that's what I would be hoping for.
It certainly smells like an orange creamsicle and not like Coca-Cola. It's probably going to be flat, so that's probably not going to help how it tastes right now. But here we go.
And the review.
Not a fan.
Yeah, the cream.
It's got a weird, and I think it's because it's the Zero. It's got a very weird aftertaste.
Oh, it's Zero. Okay, that's good context. And just cream in general. When you're trying to create a cream product and have it be a preservative to sit inside of a can like that, it just generally speaking, that is a hard flavor to replicate correctly.
I will say I almost get more cream soda than orange cream. If that makes sense. Okay. Like it reminds me more of a cream soda than an orange than orange anywhere.
1 to 10. What do we got before we go? What do you got?
1 out of 10?
Yeah.
What's a 10? What do we consider a 10? Like what I drink every day?
No, the best chocolate milkshake at your favorite place.
I don't like chocolate milkshakes.
You were just not human for that response right there. You just got blasted by whoever was listening this far.
I know. It was so much for all of our listeners. I'm gonna give it. We'll give it a 4.
Oh, all right. That's a review.
Like it's not offensive like some of the other Coke special ones I've tried, but I'm probably won't finish this bottle.
Yeah, 4 out of 10 is not getting me to try that bad boy either.
Yeah.
Good luck with that one. That's a wrap on Always In With Food and this week's Course of Life podcast. Thank you for tuning in. For Michael, I'm Alex. We'll see you next week.